Good morning. This is Morning Coffee. You know, let me start off by saying this. Sometimes black men have a way of speaking, like when their voice goes up a notch, or they put a little bit more bass in it, or there's some vibrato in it. They use their hand gestures, and they're still refined, and they're still sophisticated, and, you know, they are still successful in delivery. However, the person or the recipient on the other end may see what they like to label as a black angry man when a man stands up and begins to talk in passionate ways or express themselves or their feelings in a way that is foreign to you, the listener. And now you have labeled the individual as someone who is black and someone who is angry, and therefore you feel unsafe to be in their presence. Now, you know, I got something to say to you people. First of all, have you thought about what's coming out your mouth and the way it's coming out? Have you? Have you thought about, hold on for a minute, I'll be back to this. But no, have you thought about that? Have you thought about what it is that the message that you're putting out into the universe, or the judgment or prejudgment or the stereotypical frame of mind that you have, and as you're engaged in a conversation with an individual, and I'm gonna tell you something, you know, a lot of times, and this is cultural on some level, and on some level it's just pure stupidity, and then on some level people just don't really want to take the time to honestly admit that they have been enculturated to perceive black men who stand up for their rights or speak about rights as being angry, like they're gonna hurt them, like they're gonna do something, when the black man or the person that's having the conversation could be, you know, feeling like you are verbally raping them. You're molesting them with, you know, with your thoughts. And we're not even talking about sexual. We're talking about in a way that you begin to dehumanize a person based upon your own personal innuendos and your own personal prejudices and your own personal stereotypes. And even now, as I begin to talk, you're probably saying, oh, he's angry. I'm not angry. I'm just able to communicate with you about how I feel. And this is the way I do it. And so in order to have a successful conversation with me, I'm speaking for me now, the very first thing you need to do is you need to check to see at what point of the crucial conversation did you get off the boat. And now that I'm responding or reacting in a way that you know, don't deem appropriate, now you want to, you know, start putting labels and telling me. Let me tell you one thing that you cannot do with me in a conversation. It just doesn't work, and you know, and it probably doesn't work because being a black man and living in society where you've already feeling like you have strikes against you. You know, one for being black, one for being this, one for being that, one for having this, one for having that. You already got all these mental strikes against you. So when you engage in what you call, you know, a one-on-one disagreement with a person, and you're feeling, you know, as a person, at least I do, that I can be able to disagree with you. I can agree to disagree with you and do it in a way where I'm not coming off like I'm threatening you or you're not threatening me. See, a lot of times you don't even want to take the reality check and look at what's coming out of your mouth and the threatening ways that you may come off trying to be. And the good one is get me when you start, well, you know, you get into a debate with a person and you could say something like, well, you know, I did my due diligence and what I come to understand or what I read about this particular law is this, but the other recipient would be like, oh, are you trying to tell me, you know, that I'm coming for you? They coming at you with all that. And you're like, whoa. You know, having the mindset, like I said, of being able to engage in, you know, a conversation and be effective, you're having the mindset that where you can keep it low, keep it even keel, keep it passionate. And you can respond by simply saying, well, let me see. Did you hear those words come out of my mouth? And, then that's going to rise something up in them, because they now know that you didn't say that. It's what they perceived. And don't be too intellectual, and let them know that what they're doing is that they're perceiving something and then they're projecting it onto you. And they end up wanting to call you angry. So I want to share with you, if you're like that, it doesn't even make a difference. Take color out of the game. Take gender out of the game. Just if you find yourself engaging in conversation with people on your job, in your family, and it just seems to escalate, and it ain't always you, baby. And it's not always about, them pointing the finger saying how angry you are and they can't talk to you because you don't hear. Sometimes it's really the other person, but you have to be savvy enough to pick up on it. And in that conversation, the same way you began it, with passion, with conviction, and saying that I just want to be clear that you understand that, my perception of the conversation is this, so that they don't walk away, adding more labels to your name about how angry you are and they can't talk to you, when it's really all about them. And they really can't talk to you because they really haven't dealt with the inner issues about themselves. So I really don't like to waste my energy or time getting into verbal debates with people who already have an idea of what I'm going to say, before I say it. I don't really like to get into conversations with those kind of people, because the reality is they are really too good for me. They're way beyond my means of communicating. And what will happen is they will try and entrap me, or they will try and, speak to me in a condescending tone as if I don't pick up on the game. But what you do is you pick up on the game and you call the game for what the game is, and you stand firm in it and back it up with documentation. You always want to back up some conversation with documentation. That's extremely important, especially for those of you that are on the work field. Because as much as you don't want to face the reality, or much as you don't want to believe the truth, it's always somebody that don't like you and wants your job, or they're out to remove you. But but God. That's where you get in contact with it. I'm being passionate. You get in contact with the fact that you have a God that places you high and places you low. And that although a human being thinks that they can sign you out of something, or fire you, or exterminate you, the fact that that spirit is alive in your body is witness and testimony enough that you have been given an assignment, signed off on by a loving and caring God, that will not allow foolishness to dictate how you're going to survive. So pay attention to this morning coffee. And you continue to be passionate, and you continue to be able to agree to be disagreeable. You continue to voice your mind. But when people start getting condescending and they get off track and they want to tell you what you should do, what you need to do, and they want to start shoulding on you, you just simply politely back away from the conversation and entangle yourself in something that's going to become more effective. And one of the most effective ways I exit out of those conversations is when you are ready to talk. I might be available to listen. Morning coffee. Have a very wonderful day.